Liberals tend to oppose manly honor, not so much to promote gender equality, but just as part of their primordial attraction to the disciplined conformism of an institutional bureaucratic ethos, right? The hygienic conception of life cannot tolerate male individualism, exuberance, and aggressiveness, right? These are all primitive virtues that threaten our rational social order. So equal protection review is merely the ideological facade behind which liberalism targets these traditional virtues. So conservative claimants of cultural oppression see the political as emerging out of the ostensibly apolitical. So the elites contrapose equality to inequality, but conservatives see a contest between the elite's supposedly higher civilization and the half-savage relics of past times themselves, people who value guns, religion, and honor. So feminist principles are applied highly selectively, right? You can get a global rap superstar can rap about, raping women. And if someone was an American soldier or someone was conservative saying the same things, it would be cited as incontrovertible evidence of a misogynistic culture. So people on the right tend to have a more traditional, more medieval worldview than people on the left. Right? People on the right, in having a medieval worldview, believe that honor, order, morality, meaning exist outside of one, and that the meaning in your life is shaped and constrained by your ability to fit into this objective order of things. It's the background against which you make sense of your life, right? Living a full life from this traditional medieval perspective means recognizing your place within a wider order and acknowledging your dependence on a greater order. For the modern liberal left perspective on life, we have a buffered identity where every individual on his own is able to create meaning, purpose, and order just with the power of his own reason, right? So from the pre-modern, medieval, traditional, right-wing conservative perspective, right, honor is part of the universe, and we can reject it or embrace it, but it's there, right? There's always the possibility of sin and dishonor. Now, liberals see commercial prosperity as an antidote to the culture of honor, right? So liberalism wants to harness the ego to commercial expansion rather than creating a world where there's this underlining, moral honor code, where you have the glory of the king, the honor of the nobles, right? Maybe Republican virtues of pagan antiquity. The modern liberal dismisses these concepts of honor as intangible goods, just mere vainglory, part and parcel of the repudiation of anthropocentricity, right? The rise of the disengaged subject who can step back from inherited traditional religious worldviews. So honor and glory presuppose a thicker cosmology, right? An intuitive sense of things, an intuitive significance that is regarded as irredeemably subjective and primitive from the modern naturalist, liberal, dominant elite worldview. So liberals tend to be exasperated with conservative preoccupations with guns and religion, with intangible and merely symbolic goods like honor, the flag, the moral fiber of society. So liberals see a sharp distinction between the symbolic and the substantive. Right? Conservatives are governed by their primal passions. Liberals are governed by their interests. So the target of the liberal elite's ordering impulses are to bring into control notions of honor. Right? You want to tame the honor ethic. You want to tame these vainglorious impulses which are incompatible from a liberal perspective with the smooth functioning of a hygienic commercial society. So lamenting the gender integration of the Virginia Military Institute ordered by the Supreme Court in the U.S. versus Virginia, Justice Scalia said it is powerfully impressive that a public institution would require all first-year students to keep VMI's Code of the Gentleman. Right? And this code is an honor code. And without strict observance of this honor code, no man, no matter how polished, can be considered a gentleman. Right? The honor of a gentleman demands the inviolability of his word, the incorruptibility of his principles. He is a descendant of the knight, the crusader. He is the defender of the defenseless, the champion of justice, or he is not a gentleman. But honor gets little respect in contemporary culture, particularly among intellectuals. It gets as little respect as chastity, right? So from a modern liberal left secular humanist view, honor and chastity are both primitive atavisms in a modern society. They are ideological leftovers in the consciousness of obsolete classes, such as military officers or grandmothers. So once an insult to one's honor was deemed a serious social and possibly legal offense, someone who now fights to defend his honor will be seen as neurotic, abnormally sensitive, or hopelessly provincial. Right? And these judgments are the received wisdom. Honor cannot be translated into non-anthropocentric terms. So this enables liberals to dismiss traditional values like honor as just so much empty bluster, right? Symptoms of emotional conflict and intellectual confusion rather than something real. So in a world of honor, the individual discovers his true identity in his role, fitting into a pre-existing order. And to turn away from your duty and from your role is to turn away from reality. In a world of dignity and honor, the individual discovers his true identity by reconciling himself to the existing order. So the conservative much more likely to still cling to a world of honor where he will throw himself over his wife and children to protect them. This is the code of the gentleman. This is the clean-cut look of conservative think tank interns. This is the patriotism of Sarah Palin rally attendees. And this is the source of liberal animus. So the conservative's original sin is not his chauvinism or his classism, but his low level of consciousness that facilitates ideas about honor. His inability to be so disengaged and reflexive and buffered that he still sees the world through his sense of honor.
There's a visual obstruction in their way, and that's why they didn't act quicker. And by the way, we are not putting blame on them whatsoever. They were able to neutralize this target immediately. There is one more thing I have to mention as well. According to Brian Enton from News Nation, and this is on Twitter, or X, quote, sources within the Secret Service say the working theory right now is the Secret Service sniper did not initially shoot Crooks because the sniper thought Crooks was a police officer on the roof. Okay, so another possible explanation for what happened here. Now, I want to talk about one of the strangest aspects of all of this, motive. Right? Why would Crooks supposedly do this? And that is where we get into this whole other territory, because it's so weird. It's so weird. The FBI is poring over his cell phone history, his online search history, digital footprint, and there appears to be, at the time of this recording, no clear motive, no apparent political or religious ideology or motivation. And as far as we know from reporting, there's no manifesto, there's no note, there's no writings, there's no social media posts that outline a motive or plan here. And that includes interviews, by the way, because apparently the FBI conducted over 200 interviews with family, neighbors, co-workers. They can't find anything. Now, there is reporting that Crooks did conduct searches online about major depression disorder. According to ABC News, Crooks had been registered as a Republican voter, but a $15 donation to this progressive group was also labeled and recorded under Thomas Crooks.
Okay, let's bring Elliot Blatt to the show. Elliot, what's going on, man?
Hi, Luke. Can you hear me?
I can, loud and clear.
Yeah. All right. I don't know what happened last time. So just an amusing story while you were sort of talking about, gendered law enforcement issues. I'm sitting here, I'm in Marin County, right by the Marin County Jail. And just as I'm listening, this pair of cops walks by. One is like this 6'6", Chad man. And walking next to her is like this 5'6", super wide woman with a giant police, vest wrapped around her torso,